Inside the big yellow house on Broad Street, the old Kimball organ still sounds a little sad. But as you look around this grand old mansion, the history of 1865 comes alive to explain. This is the home of distinguished Iowa Senator James Harlan, a best friend to Abraham Lincoln.
Our mission here at the Harlan-Lincoln House is to promote the story.
And it is an incredible tale, so close that the friendship with the man in the stovepipe hat sparked a romance between their children, Robert Todd Lincoln and Mary Eunice Harlan. Few visitors know this Iowa home is where Honest Abe's grandchildren spent their summers.
It's always exciting. You can see it in their faces. Lincoln? Oh, okay.
Memories of the three kids fill the house. Mamie, Jessie, and on the horse, Abe Lincoln II, better known as Jack. His rock collection is still here. And the old pantry door where all stood tall and were told how big they were getting in 1883.
So exciting to know that they were actually in this house, and maybe Jack was sliding down a banister.
And while Senator Harlan was famous in his own right, it's the never-ending fascination with Lincoln that draws people from all over the country.
I think he's representative of something very uniquely American. Somebody who could come from literally nothing, hard scrabble roots, one pair of pants, not a pair of shoes until he was maybe 12, and become President of the United States.
History you might expect to find in the Smithsonian, including one item in this kitchen that stops visitors dead in their tracks.
This is a piece of the coat that Abraham Lincoln was wearing when he was assassinated.
Part of the collar from the long coat he wore to Ford's Theater the night John Wilkes Booth came to the balcony, later ripped from his body across the street as doctors tried to save his life.
We really prize this possession, especially this year. It would have been 150 years since the assassination of President Lincoln.
It was his Iowa friend, James Harlan, who rode the funeral train and accompanied the casket all the way back to the gravesite in Illinois.
After Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, she went into mourning the whole rest of her life.
Also directly connected to those dreadful days, one of the funeral veils worn by Mary Todd Lincoln. Progressing from a dark black, etiquette tells us this would have been worn by his widow a few years or more after the funeral.
It's exciting to say this is history right here on our wall.
The family parlor alone makes the Harlan-Lincoln house worth the trip. The senator's desk and books from Congress accent a room filled with beautiful original antiques. Also evidence he and Lincoln were leaders of like minds, both inventors, and Harlan way ahead of his time.
It's kind of like an early Barcalounger or Lazy Boy.
The woven wicker recliner may not look like much now, but before Sunday football, before big screen TVs in the 1880s, this was the bee's knees.
The wheels were always turning. Harlan must have been in search of a comfortable chair, and so he designed one. He had a prototype made. I think it's just indicative of the kind of people that they were.
An historic home filled with the memories of two iconic leaders and their grandchildren, still telling their stories.
I think some of the things that we have would surprise a lot of people. We are a hidden treasure here in Mount Pleasant.
We are road tripping at the Harlan-Lincoln House. I'm Matt Hamill.